Hello, National Fix League, and welcome back once again, and this time for the Playoff Podcast. We are coming to you live from the Peters Township Public Library. Austin Revito and Eric Zaleski with you once again.
Change of scenery.
So,
we're unsure how loud we can be in this library.
We're definitely being too loud. Let's put it that way. I mean, we have our own little room in the back here.
There's we might have neighbors. I don't know. Everyone here at this time of the day, I think, is deaf. So,
yeah, that's a likely scenario there.
Right.
You hear the theme, the classic old Thursday Night Football theme. Most of you know it as Hand Me the Ship Right Now. The actual song is titled Run to the Playoffs, so we felt that was appropriate for today. So, first off, let's real quick, we'll recap the games from Week 13, in the final week of the regular season, and we talked about it in the previous podcast. There wasn't a lot of head-to-head implications. There wasn't two teams battling for that last spot that were playing each other. Everybody was playing different teams.
Right.
So, I fade the public and be happy out there. Playoff teams that fade the public is just missing out on a spot because they're starting to heat up. Second week in a row, breaks 100 points, gets another win, and actually knocks Ladies and Gentlemen out of a playoff spot. The final score in this game, 125.4 to 102.1. I'm now 2-0 against Ladies and Gentlemen this year, and we actually play each other in the, I saw it this morning, we played each other in the first round of the consolation bracket, and this is just painful for me. This is my first time ever participating in consolation, and I think it's time for you to go ahead and unveil our sponsors.
Well, they gave us such a nice large bottle of water that this is a liter.
And that's $6.25 at the Consol Energy Center.
Comes with a trusty cap.
And additionally?
And Icebreakers mints. I bought these.
Can I have one?
4 o'clock this morning, and there are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There's 14 left. 13.
Thank you, sir.
12 left.
So Fade the Public 2.0 and Ladies and Gentlemen both ending the year 6 and 7 and out of a playoff spot. On to the next matchup. Team Cologne, who puts up the week high, and man, is he just streaking heading into the playoffs here. Victorious over Jerry Slambutsky. The final score in this one, 146 to 86.2. And wow. How about Fawcett? Well, for starters, changing his abbreviation for his team name to HMTS, Hand Me the Ship. Kind of an ode to my team last year, which ended up winning the ship. So I think maybe he wants to kind of follow in my footsteps, which is cute, which is adorable. How about him getting 35.8 out of DeAndre Hopkins? And that's a guy that the Jacksons dropped in order to pick up the Eagles' defense. And,
whoa.
I mean, a questionable move. Now, I know the Jacksons are heavy at wide receiver, so maybe he's just, he was kind of a depth guy for them, and maybe they didn't have much use for him. But, wow, what a week out of him. Are you able to – you have this pulled up? Are you able to see I don't know what you're doing in that matchup.
I was seeing how John only scored 26 points.
Oh, well, we'll get to that. There's a classic over-the-top throat clear.
Well,
that might as well be a sponsor at this point.
We should get a Vapor Rub or Hall's. Wait, okay, so let's see. He did a lot.
Holy shit. 9 receptions, 238 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Where is the defense in that game? Are you kidding me? With all the talent Team Cologne has, for DeAndre Hopkins to end up at the top of his list, things are going really, really well for him.
Let's just give a quick, in one word, you see DeAndre Hopkins' picture in the little click thing on the website. Just click into it. Give one word for what you would describe him as. Mind you, it says down here his nickname is Nuke.
I mean, he kind of looks like Alien-esque a little bit in that picture.
Yeah, he looks like Predator.
Like a Martian.
He looks scary. He looks like a silverback.
So a huge week out of Team Cologne, who finishes 11-2 in the regular season, good enough for the number 1 overall spot in the National Fixed League. He will get a first-round bye.
And that was huge. He doesn't have to play down with the cause.
I have one more of those mints.
Yeah, I'm gonna just keep the pack open. Right
And
here.
Jerry Slambutsky.
Our goal is to finish them. It's a case race with mints.
Jerry Slambutsky, speaking of case race, ends the regular season at 4-9.
Sorry.
He kind of started sliding late there, and he actually, as we were with him over the weekend, said he is definitely out for the National Fixed League last year. Wasn't happy with the waiver wire auction, which he expressed in the podcast last week. And additionally, what else was he complaining about? Just how you could pick up guys, drop guys, kind of that little maneuver that him and Birdie tried to do.
Then how he couldn't be there for the draft or something.
Oh yeah, and he couldn't be there for the draft. And obviously we'd like to get everybody there, but you can only do what you can do.
Right.
When you got guys coming and going.
He had the quote of the weekend too.
Which was,
"I'm stronger than you are."
oh, said to a girl, and what else is there to say about that?
Right.
So that's been kind of the way things have been going for Rod.
It's just a terrible comment, on every level.
It's not good. And I believe that was said to a girl named Paul, which might be a mistake.
That's not a mistake. Well, a mistake. Yeah.
The next matchup, in an interesting development in this game, it was Hit on 16, Robbie Wright versus Billy Z. Pump up the volume. Hit on 16 squeaks out the win in kind of an ugly matchup here, 76.3 to 64.2.
That was pretty ugly.
However, I do have a note on this game.
Quick note.
There was a little lineup quirk. Billy Zaleski, he went out, he picked up a defense and a kicker at the start of the week, or on Thursday, forgot to plug him in. So went and picked up Nick Folk for Monday night so he could at least get some points.
Right.
And I guess Robbie Wright saw that he wasn't going to be able to start a D, so Robbie Wright said, "I want to beat you fair and square," and he took his D out of it. My question is, if this game didn't mean anything for Robbie, did it? Or if he lost, could he have dropped down to 4th?
What's the record? You're on the page. What's the record of Down with the Cause?
No, it doesn't look like it, because Down with the Cause, if Down with the Cause would have lost, Hit on 16 would have won, they would have been tied.
But I think Chad had more points.
Chad definitely had more points, so this game didn't matter, because even if the Jacksons win,
they did,
which they did, but they couldn't get up to 8, which is Robbie. This was win number 9 for Robbie, so this game didn't matter. So
okay, yeah.
So it was kind of a.
It was a homage. It was a nice little homage.
It was nice, but I see right through that little tactic. It just didn't really matter.
It'd be nice to be able to sit a defense and not have to worry about it because you're in the playoffs. But oh well.
Yeah, but a win for Robbie right here. He goes into the playoffs on an upswing.
Such is life.
Ends his year 9-4. So that's good enough for 3rd.
I have one of those wins. I won against him.
Congratulations. And I believe he is playing It's Only Smells in the first round of the playoffs.
Speaking of a team we never talked about, Smells. Didn't they start 1-5 or something?
Yeah, they were not up to a good start, and they brought it. They started pouring it on. Although
they were begging for running backs, I remember, and then every week you look and it's okay, Smells is in the middle of the pack. Smells is in the middle of the pack. Oh, Smells made the playoffs.
Well, they end. So we'll jump to their matchup next.
Or as Billy calls them, he called them the Smells, or he calls them It's All Smells or something. It was very odd. Rendition.
And this will be a nice transition here, as we'll jump to Down with the Cause and It's Only Smells. Down with the Cause murdered them this week. Fortunately, It's Only Smells. Really, thanks to my heroic effort, they're going to make the playoffs because they ended the year 7-6. Down with the Cause, another team that's streaking heading into the playoffs. It's gonna be. You gotta like Team Cologne Down with the Cause right now, as far as favorites go.
They're on a collision course.
But on a separate scheduling note, out of curiosity this past week, I asked Ben, who refers to himself as the co-owner of Down with the Cause,
oh God,
what is your team name? To which he responded, "We are the cause." So that's where Ben's at. I also asked him who his running back was, and he asked if it was McCoy, and then he asked if it was a Patriots running back, and then he finally landed on the fact that it was a Cowboys running back, and DeMarco Murray. So
Great times of charm.
he's not helping himself out with those comments as I continue to try to figure out how I'm going to deal with the championship payout if they are to win. We are the cause with a big win this week. And the newly acquired Drew Brees get the job done for Chad.
Drew Squeeze.
A nice week out of him in Pittsburgh. Let's jump to your matchup real quick. A big win for the Jacksons to secure a playoff spot over your newly named team, Pistol Pete Pure Hockey. Do you want to elaborate?
So Pistol Pete. Okay, so we ordered 4, because Eddie, 4 baby blue jerseys for hockey. I want to say in June-ish. That's a light. That's an estimate on the shorter side. And a man by the name of Pete, who ended up fitting Eric's skates. Pete, we have a history with Pete.
Yeah.
Pete has ankle issues because he rammed his foot into a skate that was too small for way too long. Long story short, Pete developed more ankle surgery, which led to a blood clot, which led to Pete leaving Pure Hockey for a large hiatus. Unfortunately, the first time Pete left, we had the jerseys, but the jerseys were in Pete's car. Apparently, Pete's car leaked and everything got soiled in the car, so they had to throw away the jerseys the first time. So then we reordered the jerseys, 3 months ago again,
Yeah.
September. They came in 2 weeks ago. Pistol Pete was still not back yet.
And there was a lot of rumors going around about the well-being of Pistol Pete.
I mean, apparently it's like he was staying at his mother's house. He wasn't able to drive.
Somehow we acquired way too much detail on the status of Pete.
Right.
I'm not sure we were I don't think we were asking for it either. Like,
Right. It just
the
kind
guys at Pure Hockey were just dicing out info left and right.
about Pete.
Nothing was being
Right.
undisclosed.
And Pete's a heavier set man, probably leading to most of his ankle issues at this point. But so Pete. We never knew if Pete was coming back or not. So Pete had this surgery, and we were on Twitter Monday, and I'm scrolling down, and there's a picture of Pete on crutches in Pure Hockey Bridgeville, and the tweet says, like, everybody stop back in and welcome back Pete. He
Come back in and reminisce.
They want to reminisce was the key word. Hashtag like Pure Hockey, hashtag Pete or something. It was one of the better moments. That may have been the top 3 tweets I've ever seen in my life. We'll post a picture of the tweet on the homepage.
Or just make it your team pick.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I think
Classic Pistol
It was
Pete.
unbelievable, but it's just like, and Pistol Pete was. We're digressing big time here, but it was worth it because Pistol Pete initially was like, he was really against you getting your skates, these old skates redone, and it was. He was
very aggressive. And never it is. He's gonna attempt to show you this
again, but this is absolutely worth it.
Oh, look, that's actually a nice picture. There he is, Pistol Pete. Everybody.
To reminisce, what's up, buddy? That was the hashtag. Look who's back. Pete Milk.
He looks terrible too. I mean, does not look good.
No, sorry, Pete.
So
But-
there's that.
So I am the only favorite and retweet on that, so whatever.
That's classic. So you finished the season here with a loss. End of the year 5-8. Jackson's end the year 7-6, and they will be playing. Who are they playing in the Team Tone, I believe.
Tonesters.
And we'll jump to his matchup next. And this is just a historically bad performance out of Tesla Motors. Get ready for the stat of the century. The final score in this one, Ben Roethlisberger for Team Tone, 26.2. Tesla Motors, 26.1. Roethlisberger has single-handedly outscored the entire Tesla Motors roster. If there was any doubt about who was the worst team in this league, all those questions have been answered. Tesla Motors will finish the year 2-11. He finishes last in points for. I mean, this has been the year from hell for Tesla Motors. And let's just to kind of I mean, I'm gonna read off the points for testing theirs this week because this is
Yeah.
actually impressive. Tony Romo 3.9, Giovanni Bernard 5.3, Alfred Blue 0.6, Mike Evans 4.9, Sammy Watkins 1.1, Zach Ertz 0, Michael Floyd 3.3, 49ers defense 3, and Cairo Santos 4 for a whopping total of 26.1. And even more impressively, his bench only ended. Well, actually, his bench outscored. He left Keenan Allen on his bench with 24.1 and Andy Dalton with 11.7.
Is he just holding on to Monty Ball for posterity's sake?
I mean, he must be at this point. What's the latest on Monty Ball?
I hope he's dead.
Okay.
He's dead.
So it didn't take a lot. It didn't really take that much for Team 10 to have to get the job done this week. Speaking of which, we did see him over the past weekend. It actually had hit me right before I saw him that it's actually been years.
You quoted it, and then
Yeah.
you did a phone call. You snuck off from the tailgate. Maybe you should give a little a little background. Oh, we're all drinking, and from our perspective, we just see Eric behind a dumpster. I'm unsure if he's urinating.
I'm pacing.
We're
pacing.
And he's on the phone, and it looks like he's kind of animated, and
Well, I just, basically, we had met a nice young gentleman there by the name of Raul. He was really just the sweetheart of a man.
What do you call him? A salt of the earth.
He's the salt of the earth. Yeah, he really is.
Awesome.
And I was just kind of talking to him. We had a long heart to heart, and I kind of said, I was just trying to gauge of how he kind of got in with this group of people that we were tailgating with, and he said, "Oh, I'm friends with Anthony Aliberti," and I was like, I know Bertie, and I'm like, where the hell is he at? Every time I come up here, he's nowhere to be found. He's always with that girlfriend, and at least that's what I've been hearing. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give him a call because he told Raul he was gonna be there at 1. It was like 2:30, and nothing from Bertie. So I call him, and no answer. And I'm like, this is just fantastic. I came all the way up here. I'm not going to see Bertie again. So I left a very animated voicemail basically saying, look, buddy, I make one trip up to Penn State every year, and all I want to do is see you. It's been years. Just please. I mean, I really just wanted him to grace me with this presence for like 10 minutes. I would have been happy with that.
You weren't asking for much.
And I'd never heard back from him. But then out of nowhere, he showed up at one of the Penn State animal houses.
The rear.
Out of nowhere, and we had a nice night together. Very nice night together.
A lot of there were some antics.
Oh, I mean, it was the night itself was. I mean, that's for
Eric
another
slept
day.
with a raccoon.
However, for his opponent in round 1 of the playoffs, Jackson's, I have to say, from what we've heard, Bertie might be a little bit distracted as we hear that the girlfriend has him doing pottery now.
We got that from the horses
so we don't know if Bertie's going to have time to set his lineup, in between all the ceramics going on.
He has the glaze on his hands, so he'll fumble the keyboard.
And he's apparently done it a few times. I don't know if we can confirm that, but his girlfriend did give him kind of a vote of confidence, saying he was really good at it.
That was the quote.
Which was, I mean, nonetheless, very happy to see.
But that was all happening while Danielle was her name, great girl, was pouring us shots of Bacardi, some flavored Bacardi. And it was like 19 years old all over again. I took one. Eric had the 1,000-mile stare. It was like you just lost Game 7 of the Cup. You're just there was a reporter in your face and you're looking straight through him. I mapped out the closest points to vomit. I was like, okay, there's a sink. There is a door, which is being blocked by Raul. So, if worst case scenario,
I might have to run him over.
Right.
Speaking of which, Raul said he would definitely be in. If Rod is out for the fantasy league next year, Raul is in. Bertie warned me though, he's a dangerous player. He's dangerous. He comes off as a nice guy, but he can really play the game. He told me he's in 7 fantasy leagues this year. He's definitely in the playoffs in 5 of them, and he's right on kind of the bubble of the other 2. So he might literally go 7 for 7. So Bertie said Bertie said do not be fooled by Raul. He's a nice kid, but when he plays fantasy football, all bets are off. He plays to win. He
was talking to me about my team, and I gave him some of my players, and he just started laughing, rightfully so. So I was kind of like, okay. I mean, Raul's with it, and then I didn't realize that Raul had that much fantasy prowess, but good for Raul.
Yeah, so that does it for the Week 13 recap. Team Tone won at 7-6. So here are the final playoff seedings. 6 teams made it.
Yep.
Number 1 overall, Team Cologne. Number 2, Down with the Cause. Number 3, Hit on 16. And number 3 will play number 6, It's Only Smells. Number 4, 3 Jackson short of the Jackson 5, and they'll be playing number 5 overall, Team Tone. So let's jump into, and now as we mentioned, Kelowna and Cause both have byes. So there's really only 2 matchups of meaning this week. We're not even, I'll go over the matchups, just like literally who's playing who in the consolation bracket, but we're not going to do any analysis. It's Fade the Public 2.0 versus Ladies and Edelman. Jerry Slambuski versus Pistol Pete Pure Hockey, and by far the worst matchup we will have seen all season. Number 11, Pump Up the Volume versus number 12, Tesla Motors.
That game belongs on Thursday night.
Yeah, that's a classic Thursday night game.
And somehow the over will hit.
Yeah, I mean, that's how things seem to go. That is the, hopefully I
There's Raul.
There he is, the big guy in the background, as the computer kind of went to sleep there for a second. So back up to the playoff matchups, and let's first we'll do the number 3 Hit on 16 versus number 6 It's Only Smells. It looks like both lineups are set. I don't know. I guess some of these might be subject to change, but let's go through. Since we only have 2 games, let's go through each position and kind of, talk about who we like here. Now the quarterback matchup, Smells is putting out Ryan Tannehill. And Hit on 16 is putting out Jay Cutler. And hard to believe you have 2 playoff teams with these quarterbacks.
They suck.
I'll
take
Tannehill is versus Baltimore, and Cutler is versus Dallas, and that's the Thursday night game tomorrow.
Well, I hate Thursday night players. Chicago got smoked last week. Tana Stiff played on Monday night, and they won, sort of. I'm going to go against the grain here. I'm going to take Cutler having a nice night against Dallas at home.
Well, the nice thing about that is the Chicago D has not been good this year. So it might be a scenario where Dallas is up pretty big late, and then Cutler starts throwing up garbage time stats, and he has the wide receivers to do it, and Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey.
You wouldn't know it, though.
Even Martellus Bennett. Yeah, hard to believe, and including Matt Forte, hard to believe that team struggled as much as they have this year. But
we almost out.
Almost. That's a tough call. The projections are 17.7 to 17.3 in favor of Tannehill, so I think that's a toss-up. Now looking at the running backs, and you have to give the nod here to Hit on 16, as they have Marshawn Lynch and C.J. Anderson, who's coming on strong, going up against Justin Forsett, who's been a pleasant surprise this year, and Ryan Matthews. I didn't even know he was back.
Yeah, I drafted him, and then he died, and then he came back.
Yeah, that's kind of been the way that the year has gone for you.
That is true.
So yeah, I mean we're taking Lynch and Anderson here, right? Especially with the way Anderson's been playing recently.
Yeah.
C.J. Anderson has been everything that they thought the Monty Ball was going to be.
And after Ronnie Hillman was everything that they thought Monty Ball was going to be, and then he got hurt.
Yeah, true. And
it actually couldn't have the Guru couldn't have been more raw than Monty Ball.
Well, the thing about that is, I think in his mind he had the right concept down. He's like, okay, so in a Peyton Manning offense, their teams are going to defend the pass. They're not going to stack the box. The run's going to be wide open. He had the right concept down. I mean, it's really on Monty Ball for not getting the job done, because anybody else who's been in this offense has done it no problem.
Ronnie Hillman is my size in every way. He's 5'8". I'm 5'10".
Yeah.
He's 180 pounds. I don't know. You can't tell me. And Monty Ball's this big guy, set records at Wisconsin. Whatever. He never got in the end zone for us before he got hurt.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a pooper.
Yeah, down year for him, but from the Guru, I think he did have the right kind of scheme, kind of the right approach to the Denver running back scenario. So we're taking Lynch and Anderson over Forsett and Matthews. Wide receivers, kind of a tough call here, but I think that I'm going to side again with Hit on 16, who's got Josh Gordon going and Demarius Thomas. And It's Only Smells has a couple of nice receivers in Macklin and Calvin Benjamin. Both guys have been nice this year. That's a tough call, especially because, and let's see what's been going on with Josh Gordon. It looks like
he's had 10 points each week.
He had 12 in his first week back and had 7.5 last week. So he's kind of the X factor in this deal. But when you got Demaryius Thomas going up against Buffalo, you got to take that team every time. And Macklin's been fantastic. That's a guy that Smells traded for. And Kelvin Benjamin as a rookie has been one of the few bright spots in Carolina this year. So that's a tough call. I'm going to take Gordon and Thomas in that one as well. Now,
scroll down and see what else happened. Oh, you don't see their bench? They don't have bench players?
Yeah, I guess you can't view them on here. Also, but as we scroll down the previous matchup, it looks like Smells actually won the game, 75 to 67.1. So not a very impressive matchup from either side, but Smells does own the season series. So maybe there's a little bit of that intimidation factor coming into play. But now jumping down to tight end, I mean, you got Jimmy Graham versus Martellus Bennett. Bennett actually hasn't been that bad this year, but
Jimmy Graham didn't have a catch against.
You got to take Jimmy Graham.
He didn't have a catch against the Steelers.
That's hard to believe. I didn't watch any of that game as I was dead after Penn State and just passed out belly up.
PTFO'd.
But I'm taking Jimmy Graham there. I mean, you can't not take Jimmy Graham.
I'm going to fade the public. I'll say Bennett has a touchdown.
Okay, that's fair.
I've split my pick though. Unfortunately, I think I'm more on the right hand side here. But.
So so then you get down to the flexes, and it's Isaiah Crowell versus Anquan Boldin, and that's kind of a toss up. You don't really know what you're going to get out of either of those guys. They're both projected a little over 13 points.
I'll take the running back.
Yeah, I'll take the running back as well in this one. We'll take Isaiah Crowell, who did nothing for me. I dropped him, and they picked him up, and he's actually been good. Go figure. And then you get down to the defense and the kicker. You got Smells with the Cardinals D and Stephen Hauschka, the Seattle kicker. And then you have Robbie Wright with the Broncos D and Dan Bailey kicker.
Dan Smaley.
Could go either way. Cardinals D going against Kansas City. Broncos D going against Buffalo. I tend to like. It's tough. Bailey's been really good. Hauschka actually has had the better year though, so I'll take the Cardinals D and Stephen Hauschka.
I'll take the Broncos against Buffalo and Danny B.
Okay.
Who was so you were going to trade for LaShawn McCoy.
I got the trade offer sent to me.
Right, yeah.
And it was a serious trade offer, I believe, coming from the other side and hit on 16.
Can we ask Hit on 16 on the camera what his picture is of?
Oh, I know what it is. That is, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's Kendall Jenner.
Who's that?
The Kardashian younger stepsister or something along the lines. No, beautiful girl. I love her.
Diana Fire.
And so the projections here, they have Hit on 16 winning by 15 points. The projected total is 120 to 105. I'm going to take Hit on 16 in this game.
I also will. I'll be boring. I'm sorry.
I mean, it could be a tight one, though. We already said Smells won the previous matchup, so...
We're just kind of taking the favorite there everywhere, and I think more or less Tannehill and Cutler cancel each other out.
Yeah,
that's kind of where I'm sitting.
I tend to agree with that. So now jumping over to the only other matchup of the playoff week, Team Tone versus the Jacksons. And let's preview this one now. So, Team Tone at QB, Roethlisberger at Cincinnati, and Jacksons have a Luck at Cleveland. Well, you're going to take a Luck at Cleveland there. I am. Are you?
What did Roethlisberger do last week? Literally, I'm just fading every team that played like junk last week.
Well, Pittsburgh lost, but Roethlisberger scored some
game.
garbage time points. Yeah, ended with 26.2, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 435 yards.
Picks.
Excuse me, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 0.
435 yards.
Yeah, but see, he got 150 yards late in that game, the last 2 possessions. I'm pretty sure. So, but Andrew Luck's been so good.
You're gonna have to ride the Luck truck.
I mean, he's been a beast all year. Actually, number 1 overall in fantasy points. So a heck of a selection there. Luck turning out to be the guy that everybody thought that he would. Very, very impressive there.
RBs.
And here's where things get a little bit ugly.
These teams suck at RB.
Team Tone with Lamar Miller and Mark Ingram. They're going up against the Jacksons, Steven Jackson and Denard Robinson. Tough call here. Robinson's been a pleasant surprise in the second half of the season. But just looking at the position ranks for total fantasy points this year, you got Miller and Ingram at 12 and 13 respectively, and Jackson's 21, Robinson's 29. So I'm going to ride the guys that have been more consistent. I'm going to take Miller and Ingram over Jackson and Robinson.
See, this is where it can get interesting because I'm now I found how you can look at the bench. Oh, Latavius Murray's out. He didn't get cleared from that concussion, so yeah. Jacksons are gonna have to start Jackson and Robinson. Do they still have the other Jackson on their team? Yeah. The other side, yeah, they don't even Doug Martin there.
That might be a potential play.
I feel like if you trade for him, you go down with the ship with him.
And we'll see. We had a few laughs about that over the weekend. Birdie saying, that the trade early in the year kind of built league chemistry, kind of got things off and running. So we had a good laugh about it.
Kind of like Rod in that sub shop.
But let's jump down to the wide receivers now, and this is where the teams are kind of deep. So
Right.
Team Tone has Des Bryant and Mohamed Sanu, who has been a nice player, believe it or not. I think he's been better than A.J. Green this year for Cincinnati.
Sanu, yeah, if you click in, he's had a lot. I mean,
He's kind of been up and down, but he's definitely been more consistent, I think, than A.J. Green this year.
Yeah, AJ Green has been stinking.
And then the Jacksons have Calvin Johnson, Brandon Marshall. Calvin has been a beast when he's been healthy. Marshall is somehow ranked 18th. I think Marshall's riding those 3 touchdowns he scored on Sunday Night Football. If it wasn't for that game, he would have been just a terrible, terrible fantasy player this year. I don't know what his deal is. He's been so good for so long. He's still a young guy.
He could be done. This could be it for him.
I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to believe that.
They're always just like hurt. Like, why are all these wide receivers hurt? Like,
he's been dealing with that ankle for a while now.
Just like be a fucking man and
But
play.
this is a tough call. Des Bryant at Chicago. You have to love that matchup. Granted,
But yeah,
it is
but
on a Thursday
I
night.
don't love that matchup. I don't love it.
Why?
On a Thursday night, I hate that.
Well, they also have Brandon Marshall going versus Dallas on Thursday night. So they both have a wide receiver going in that game. I'm going to take Des Bryant over Brandon Marshall there.
But are you going to take...
But I'm
so
taking
if you're gonna
Calvin Johnson
go
over
true
Chanel.
ones, you're gonna say Calvin Johnson's better than Des Bryant, and you're probably gonna say,
Yeah.
Yee.
Oh.
Would you take Brandon Marshall over Sanu?
It's tough. That is very, very tough.
Well, who does the screen take? They take Sanu. The predictor takes.
They take Dez and Sanu there. It's tough. You got Calvin Johnson going against Tampa Bay.
At home.
He might have like 400 yards receiving in that game.
So will Mikey Evans too.
I'm gonna take. I think this is a split. This is so tough. But you know what? I'm gonna take the Jacksons, Calvin Johnson, and Brandon Marshall.
Yeah, I have to. I've
That's
talked
tough.
myself into it, I think.
Jumping down to the tight ends now, real quick. Gronkowski versus Walker.
That's not even a matchup.
Yeah, you're taking Gronk. What a beast he has been. The number 1 overall tight end for fantasy points. And for the flex, Emmanuel Sanders versus Torrey Smith. You gotta like Emmanuel Sanders in that game. You could see Peyton just padding the stats as he usually does versus Buffalo.
Actually, you know what?
What?
I take because they both are using receivers in their flex spot. I think I'd rather have Tones for receivers.
There are 3 versus.
Yeah.
Okay. That's reasonable. I think
But then
Sanders
it's
is
like
better than Torrey
Gronkowski
Smith.
counts as a wide receiver because he gets 10 catches a game.
Yeah, Gronkowski's going to be in for a touchdown at least one.
Well, especially losing. Although at San Diego, teams don't do that well. Flying across. Oh, it's at night. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, and
Okay,
Patriots are coming off a loss.
What-
Gronk's going to be a beast. But look at this. So then we jump down to the defense and kickers, and the Jacksons have the number 1 overall defense and kicker with the Eagles, and your boy Steven Gostowski
in the ninth.
versus Team Tone's Bills defense and Phil Dawson, the Niners kicker. I'm taking Eagles are going against Seattle, which is tough, but Bills D is going against Denver. I actually expect that to change. There's no way you're standing in front of the Denver offense when you don't. There's no reason to stand in front of that offense.
Yeah, they have an empty spot on their bench too, so I'm assuming
that's
going to
be changed. As of now, we're rolling Jacksons though there. And interestingly enough, and I know I've alluded to all 4 of them, but the Jacksons have 4 number 1 position players: Andrew Luck QB, Rob Gronkowski tight end, Eagles D, and Gostowski is the kicker. All number 1 in fantasy points at their respective positions this year. That's a strong team. The projected totals in this game, they have the Jacksons winning by a final score of 112 to 107. I think a little closer than our analysis indicated there. It's going to be a tough game, but man, hard to go against a team that has Luck, Calvin, Gronk. I can't go against them. And you have to think that there's going to be an upset in one of these two playoff games, but I can't be the one that predicts that.
Yeah,
I
mean,
can't be the one that predicts that.
I
Not
was,
with those guys.
I even wanted to pick. I mean, I picked Michigan over Ohio State. That was like the worst upset. I still covered it, barely, but.
Thanks to the back door.
Every once in a while Vegas helps you out. But I'm trying to, I don't know. It's like almost impossible to pick against that team. But then again, it's like Andrew Luck scored 39 points last week. He's due to have a stinker.
Yeah, but
they
people have been saying that all year.
They're at
Cleveland. Come on.
That's junky weather.
I mean, his lowest total this year has been 15. He's only had
the eyesore
3 games under 20. I mean, this guy has been a monster this year.
Screw it. Team Tone, I got your back.
All right, he's rolling Team Tone, so we disagree with that one. So we both have hit on 16, although my prediction is if there's going to be an upset, I think Smells beats hit on 16. I think the Jacksons, I think they're just too loaded here with the big boys. I don't see them going down, and I think they're actually going to be a nice challenge for whoever they meet in the next round.
Yeah, I still made a move. I was making moves on the waiver wire.
Well, that's good. That's what we like to see. We don't want to see anybody give up. We like to see people still having fun. I am going to send John, and I'm pretty sure he's tapped out of watching these podcasts. I need to send him the link for the trophy. The interesting thing about that is I believe you can get a name on it. So I would kind of like to wait and get like the team name, like Down with the Cause or whoever it is.
Thank goodness Jerry Slambotsky didn't win. That would have been awkward.
They might have rejected the name on the front of it, but
I dribbled.
So I do have to send him that. But, I mean, it'll be kind of fun to follow along here in the playoffs and, see how other teams do. It's a weird scenario for myself, at least, because I'm used to kind of getting ramped up this time of year. And
it's a usual scenario for myself.
I mean, you remember me last year during the playoffs. I was a wreck.
I feel like it's not even fun.
It's when you look back on it, it's fun. In the moment, though, it's so stressful. And for me, it was never about the money, and the money that I was getting paid out wasn't half of what the money is in this league this year. So it was just really about winning, and that's the competitive nature. But
popping balls.
But when you have an opportunity, and I believe, let me pull up the payouts to verify. I believe it's 800, 300, and 100 respectively.
Christ.
When you have an opportunity to win $800, all of a sudden,
your senses are a go.
I mean, this is the real deal. So it's definitely fun to.
We passed the time here. Are you still out on Mockingjay?
Yes, I'm out.
Out.
Yeah, I was correct. So 800, 300, and 100 for first, second, and third place. So, any concluding thoughts for you?
I want to see Mockingjay.
Okay, well.
I mean, there's no is there any Maction? No, everything's over.
No Maction today, yeah. Which is hard to believe. I mean, I was thinking about it today, actually in the shower for some reason, which is where I do a lot of my thinking, and I caught it. It might have been the water coming down on me. It might have been tears. Who knows? But the football season's almost over. It's hard to believe.
Yeah, not gonna lie. After the day after the Super Bowl, I'm glad. I'm glad. It's neat. The Super Bowl is too much, I think. Because they give you that week off.
Well, you'll find out this year what too much is. I'll tell you that.
Well, they don't ever shut up about anything. It's every day. It's you need to know if Tom Brady farted last night.
Okay, but that's true, and you'll feel that way for a couple days after the Super Bowl. But then you'll be once you realize oh, baseball's coming up, and you have basketball for a little bit to tide you over. But as soon as that ends and baseball hits you, and that's all you have for the whole summer, that's the worst. It's terrible.
Yeah, hockey playoffs.
Yeah, you have hockey as well. But I mean,
I do. I don't know if people are as absurd as I am, but
I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, it's just hard to believe that here we are and we're approaching week 14 of the NFL season. It feels like yesterday we were doing all those mock drafts, getting ready for the season, and
firing up mocks in the car.
Unbelievable.
It is. It's an interesting thing. We beta tested the podcast. We didn't know how it was going to go. The first one went terribly awful.
Yeah, well, I definitely didn't. Kind of like your newsletters, which you do every year to start the season, and they fade out by week 4. I kind of figured that the podcast would do the same thing, but we've had a great response to them. It's definitely been fun doing this year. We're going to continue to do it. I mean, we'll probably even do a Super Bowl one by the time it comes around. At that point, we will have had a few weeks off. The fantasy podcast.
Definitely fire that out.
Last thing before we sign off here, just wanted to talk about the situation in which Down with the Cause and Team Cologne are both in this week, and that is having a bye in the first round of the playoffs. And this is a scenario that I've been fortunate to be in on 2 separate occasions, but it's weird.
The bye?
Yeah, because your players are actually still playing this Sunday, and that sucks. Because what if somebody gets hurt? You're almost like, or if they do well, you're like, damn, I wish I was playing. I wish it was this week. It is a tough position to be in. I mean,
So you don't like the bye that much? See,
you'll take the bye. You'll take the free win and take your chances of only having to win 2 games in the playoffs to be the champion. But, I mean, you're sitting there and you're like, look at for Down with the Cause, if DeMarco Murray was to go down tomorrow night, or if for Fawcett, if Le'Veon Bell was to get hurt,
boom, roasted.
then all of a sudden your fantasy season is in question.
Your boy is roasted. But
you wish that you could take your players, say, all right, we have a bye this week, everybody out of the lineup, just rest up, get yourself ready for the next week. Unfortunately, not the case. But it's an interesting position to be in.
That could be some brutal injuries.
So another thing to watch.
We mentioned earlier when you came in to the nice little cubicle we have here, this 8x12 jail cell. Moving down in the ranks or talent level, I guess you could say. Somehow Florida State is the number 4 team in the playoff. And they haven't lost the game in 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think they just did that to get people talking about it.
Right.
Everybody knows Florida State's going to win the ACC championship game against who they playing? Duke.
Georgia Tech.
Okay. Well, yeah.
I mean, Georgia Tech can run the option.
Yeah,
but
they're not going to be Florida State.
No, not with this, because they get stopped one time. Florida State gets scored. That is kind of weird that they got leapfrogged or leapfrogged.
Well, because everybody just assumed TCU was going to go in at number 4, I think, and they were like, let's mix it up a little bit. Let's get people talking about it. Because it was almost too predictable. So
that's a new thing. Yeah, that's a new predicament.
But so best of luck to the 4 teams battling this week.
And you saw the Bortuzzo hit right in front of you last night.
It was right in front of me. I just saw a couple of huge objects flash before my eyes. One got up, one didn't. And literally in my seats, Yager's laying down in front of me. You can't see him. You can't see Yager because he's behind the goal line. And I can only see, you can't really see too much behind the net.
Yeah, that's true.
So he's right there, and I'm like, is he dead? Because you can't see anything.
He was afraid that he was dead.
Yeah, I know he had his disciplinary hearing today, so it'll be.
I don't think it came out yet. What happened? From the hearing.
But we're getting off topic. You have to remember that this and it looks like your enthusiasm definitely down today. I mean, you don't. I mean, I don't know where your tone's at. I know you've been sitting in this library cubicle for probably 6-7 hours, so you're probably. I mean, that's probably something to do with it, but
I'm tired.
I mean, get some sleep, would you?
Well, it's the breaks.
Okay. Well, best of luck to the 4 teams playing this week. And we, of course, will be back next week with the final 4 teams remaining. We know 2, the other 2 to be determined. So, without further ado, we will sign off here from the Peter Township Public Library. Thank you for joining us on the Week 14, Round 1 playoff recap. Until next time, Eric Selesky, Austin Revito, signing off on the National Fixed League Podcast.
Bye.